judge it by that stoppage right there, because I wasn't on the ground. But prior to that, I was on the ground, and I got back up and I fight even harder. So you'd have to judge it if I was on the ground and I was out.
Last time, Mike Tyson said it doesn't count unless he's dead.
Well, he's still alive, so we got to do it again. I fear him not even a little bit.
What's wrong with this guy? What's wrong with this guy? Huh? I don't walk around looking mean, coming on TV, looking sunglasses and look like a hitman. I don't do that. I don't have to do that.
Okay, tell your family to write their will out. You're in trouble.
If you're trying to intimidate me in any way whatsoever, don't you know that doesn't work? Didn't you try it the first time?
And I can't wait till the 28th. I'm going to make you my girlfriend.
Hey, let me tell you something, you. Hey. You know something? I'm not even going to dignify that with a hand. So you know why I'm not dignify that with a hand? Because I'm going to bring myself down to your level. There's something you can't buy in that class, and you don't got none of that.
You're sweet. I'm going to make sure you kiss me good with those big lips. My family tree starts with me. You know what I mean? Nobody was ever successful in my life, my family besides me. And then when you run into these guys and they look down on those people.
You think because he grew up on the street and he didn't have a family, I guess, and all that kind of stuff, he has to go and lash out at the world.
I know he's a phony, and he's putting on an act. You know what I mean? That's what just irks me about him. You know what I mean? It just irks me.
He's the kind of guy, every time you see him, you get a rage. You don't need to even carry it. As soon as you see him, it's a rage.
When I fight these kind of guys, I like to put a hole in them so you can really see what color they are. Ugh. Oh, they get me sick of them talking about them.
If I get him this time, it's not just about money at all. If I get him this time, I'll be the happiest man alive.
I'm so utterly confident in myself that I could beat him a second time.
Opportunity to see the #1 and #2 contenders fight each other. Generally, they just sit back and wait for a title shot, especially with the tens of millions of dollars at stake in the heavyweight division. The winner of this fight will get a shot at Evander Holyfield, but the loser slips back in line and wonders why he didn't play it safe. To set up our look ahead at the rematch, let's first look back to March 18th and highlights of Tyson versus Ruddock first time around.
Mike Tyson swept the first 5 rounds on every card with the best punch, this left hook in round 3 that dropped Ruddock to the canvas. Tyson continued to throw more and land more until the closing seconds of round 6, when Razor Ruddock put together his only sustained barrage of the fight, catching Mike with a series of power punches. And for just a few seconds, it looked like Buster Douglas overpowering Tyson in Tokyo. But this time, Mike Tyson remained confident, didn't panic, and reasserted control in the very next round with that classic combination, which put Razor Ruddock on the verge of a knockout when referee Richard Steele shockingly jumped in to stop the fight.
Generally, we say the referee's controversial decision, but there really was very little controversy in this case. Virtually everyone not directly involved agreed the stoppage was premature. And so the rematch, the first rematch for each fighter in their pro careers. And clearly, the biggest adjustment has to come from the loser of the first fight, Razor Ruddock.
A young fighter named Donovan Ruddock first attracted attention 5 years ago with a decision over former champion Mike Weaver. He relied almost totally on his boxing skills, primarily a sharp jab that earned him the nickname Razor. But after this fight, Ruddock began to change his style. Instead of precision jabs, he began to use his left hand for spectacular power hooks, as Michael Dokes found out last year. And March 18th against Mike Tyson, it was Razor Ruddock the puncher, without any trace of the boxer he once was, who threw out his game plan and went bombs away from the opening bell. Look at the numbers. Against Weaver, 25 jabs and only 4 power punches around, whereas in March, only 6 jabs and 19 power punches per round. A total transformation. One other significant factor in the first fight, Razor's conditioning. As early as here in round 2, he was holding, apparently tired. unable to sustain any offensive pressure and forced throughout the fight to grab onto Mike Tyson and rest instead of letting his hands go. The numbers show that in almost 7 rounds, he only attempted 174 punches and landed less than 10 per round. Even for heavyweights, that's very low. And he clinched almost as many times as he landed a punch. So Razor Ruddock must combine boxing skill and punching power, use his jab to take advantage of his huge edge and reach, be in shape to throw more punches, and above all, use the experience of the first fight to stay relaxed in order to perform at his peak in the biggest fight of his career. And what about the winner of the first fight, Mike Tyson, the man who was granted boxing immortality when he was still a teenager, the man who became the youngest heavyweight champion in boxing history with this win over Trevor Berbick? At the time, it seemed no one could stand up to Tyson's powerful ring presence. He was suddenly very rich and very famous. But in 1988, when his boxing career was soaring, his life outside the ring seemed to spin out of control and made non-stop tabloid headlines. Then last year, the unimaginable loss of his title to Buster Douglas in the biggest upset in the history of the sport. The aura that surrounded Mike Tyson was suddenly destroyed. In recent weeks, the headlines have returned, this time detailing what many see as the deterioration of Mike Tyson in and out of the ring. Critics pointed to Tyson's bizarre statements at a press conference last month as evidence of his shaky state of mind.
Oh, man, I can't wait till the 28th. I'm going to make you my girlfriend.
Let me say something to you. I don't have to sit here and listen to this moron.
You know you're really a transvestite and you like me.
Earlier this month, after a sparring session, Tyson vented his frustration at an ABC Sports camera. Rumors continue to circulate that one of the causes of Mike's anger is his volatile relationship with promoter Don King, which has reportedly been strained by the non-payment of millions of dollars owed to Mike, and perhaps more importantly, the failure to get Mike a shot to regain the championship belt in the 16 months since he lost it. Tyson and King appeared at a press conference Wednesday designed to diffuse the rumors.
It's unfortunate that y'all don't seem to believe what I say when I say it. You know what I mean? I love you, Mike. You love me, Mike?
I love you.
All right.
But the other questions surrounding Mike Tyson remain. Is the Fury gone? Is he finished as the unconquerable force in the heavyweight division? Has he begun an irreversible decline?
To get a sense of where Mike Tyson is today as a fighter and how he's responded to his first loss as a pro, the best evidence is the 3 fights he's had since Buster Douglas.
Comeback fight number 1. Of course, Henry Tillman wasn't close to a meaningful opponent, and of course the fight didn't prove anything. But you can't say a one-punch knockout is evidence of deterioration. Then Alex Stewart, who was a meaningful opponent, a man who had given Evander Holyfield a very tough fight. Alex Stewart also lasted less than a round. Yes, Stewart froze, but again, it is tough to criticize Mike Tyson. And most recently against Razor Ruddock, critics correctly point out that Tyson took as many punches here in the 6th round as he has in any fight except for Douglas. But it's also true that Mike totally dominated the rest of the fight and came back from the punishment to stop Ruddock in the very next round. He never looked flustered or lost his confidence the way he did in Tokyo.
In my opinion, reports of Mike Tyson's demise as a fighter have been greatly exaggerated. What's changed is our perception of him. We were also shocked by the loss to Buster Douglas. We're constantly looking for negatives so we don't get fooled again. And because of the outlaw image that Mike likes to project these days, he may not be as likable to a lot of people. And finally, because of his running battles with the sports media, he gets lousy press. But go back to the stretch of fights where people say that Mike Tyson was at his peak against Tyrell Biggs, Larry Holmes, Tony Tubbs, and Michael Spinks. And I think you'll find pretty much the same fighter, a ferocious puncher. Critics say his skills have deteriorated, but back then he didn't really jab enough either, and he got hit by his share of punches. But none of those opponents could match the power of Razor Ruddock, who is probably the best fighter Tyson has ever beaten. The key then, as it is now, is training hard, so he's in condition to throw combinations, which take advantage of the two things that make him so special, his power and his speed. If he pays the price in the gym, I think he can regain the title and keep it as long as he continues to work hard. We'll be back with Mike Tyson after these messages.
Story on that.
I mean, it's very difficult, to change people's opinions. Anyone that's, an avid fan of boxing would tell, there's no deterioration in my style or else my skills. Because as you say, if you see the other fighters I fought and you compare them with Ruddock, it's real ridiculous to say that. The only person who can say that is somebody, has a personal dislike, but absolutely they don't know what they're talking about, one.
Well, let's talk about a few of the points specifically. You had a press conference with Don King last Wednesday that looked like a peace conference, but there have been reports about a trouble there, primarily because of the fact that you're not in position for a fight for the title, another shot at the title that you lost. Is that accurate? How eager are you for a rematch?
Well, you can only fight one fight at a time, and it's not true. I was never, I would love to have a fight with Evander Holyfield. I was never in turmoil because I didn't get a title shot. He's champion of the world. He knows he can't claim the championship without fighting me.
What about the upcoming fight? What did you learn about Ruddock in the first fight?
Well, I know he's a pretty good fighter, but I used to know I could beat Ruddock.
Hardest punch you ever faced?
Yeah.
What kind of adjustments do you make for the rematch?
Well, I'm just in great shape. Intense ferocity from the last fight.
Do you have a game plan when you go in, or you just try to go in and knock the other guy's head off?
I never have a game plan.
Really?
Never. Because just in case you have a game plan, the game plan might not work, and then you're confused.
It seemed in the first fight that there were moments when you got a little bit bored, especially in rounds 4 and 5, after you had him down in round 3. You said you got bored. Is that possible to get bored in a fight for the heavyweight fight like that?
Sometimes, I get lackadaisical. Because I get so into myself, and I get lackadaisical sometimes.
Is it tougher for you now that you're fighting? When we first started out, you were fighting every couple of weeks, it seemed. Is it tougher for you to stay focused on boxing now that you're fighting? There's so much time between fights?
Well, this fight, there wasn't much time in between. We just got right back and forth, which was good, I believe. And I stayed in pretty decent shape. And I'm at fighting weight right now. But, it doesn't bother me. I stay in shape. I'm in the gym.
With all the distractions and temptations that come with being perhaps the most famous athlete in boxing, one of the most famous athletes in the world, is it possible for you to stay as focused and as enthusiastic about boxing as you did when you were 19 or even 20 when you were a champion?
It's funny because you have different thoughts in your mind. At 19, you're in different situations. You think about different things. Now, I think about, I'm more mature in the situation, and I feel I'm a better fighter because of that. That I'm more mature. Before I was just a wild, reckless guy.
This is the nice Mike Tyson today. What happened to that wacko who knocked my camera out about a couple of weeks ago?
I was just in that mood. I'm sorry.
What was that mood? What is that mood?
I was one of those insane moods. I was in training. I was intense. And I was just radical. I wasn't in the mood for the camera. When I'm in the gym.
Prediction on the fight?
Mike Tyson knocks Ruddock out.
Good luck to you, Michael. Thanks for coming by.
We talked earlier today with the #2 heavyweight contender in the world, a man who thinks he's got a heck of a chance to beat Mike Tyson, Razor Ruddock. Let's listen. Is the bad blood between you two fellas real, or is it just hype?
I don't have any, I don't think there's no hype. It's just the way he's been carrying himself. I haven't been initiating the attack on that bad blood stuff, because I don't hate anyone. But it's just the way he's been carrying on. I just don't want to even try to waste my time thinking about the way he's going on. I just let it go by.
In what ways will the experience of the first fight help you this time around?
Well, I think we knew exactly what we did wrong, what we did right, and we're just going to try to get it right this time.
Good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
It's always more difficult to make a prediction about a fight when a puncher is involved, and it's very tough when the two hardest hitters in the sport get together And despite all the pre-fight hype, you can be sure that both men came out of their first fight with a very healthy respect for the other man's power. In the first fight, the referee's premature stoppage denied Mike Tyson a conclusive, dramatic victory. This time I think he'll get it. Tyson by KO inside 6 rounds. Whatever happens, we'll be right back here in Las Vegas on Wide World of Sports next Saturday to report on it, hopefully to interview the fighters, and to cover live the first title defense of one of boxing's hottest young fighters. James Lights Out Tony, who scored a sensational knockout victory last month, overcoming 17-to-1 odds over then unbeaten champion Michael Nunn. Michael Nunn was considered one of the best fighters anywhere in boxing. Tony stopped him, needing a knockout to win, got it in round 11. So it's Tony against the #1 IBF contender, Reggie Johnson.
Matter of seconds. What did the Razor learn from that last fight? Interesting questions to be sure, but as the weigh-in showed Wednesday, there's no question about the real winner of this fight.
185.
Razor Ruddock, 238. Yeah. Razor Ruddock, 238.
Oh, hands up. There you go.
Mike Tyson. Very trim-looking Mike Tyson.
216. Mike Tyson, 216.
At 216 pounds, Tyson weighed in 1 pound lighter than he did in the first fight. But Ruddock is a full 10 pounds heavier than he was 3 months ago, which led to lots of questions.
We've been on a special diet this time, and we've been training very hard, so we just came in at a natural weight. So we weren't trying to cram a special weight.
I never disrespect anyone's skill. I never take, you know what I mean? I just know I'm the best. Regardless if you have a bad night, regardless, I mean, that's not the issue. The issue is who's the best, man for man.
And we'll have more on the fight Thursday night on Sports Desk at a special time of 8 o'clock.
An undisputed